I want to talk to Jess Gill, who's a work-from-home advocate and Zoomer. Jess, thank you for joining me this afternoon. We've heard so far a number of cases of people. I'm sure there are many people who work from home who, do a great job, work hard, do everything they're supposed to do. A friend of mine, for example, says he works better working from home because he does very detailed work. He likes it to be nice and quiet, and actually he sometimes works early in the morning and things like that, so he can do that. But there are people who have got things to get their mice to move. They are going to the gym, they're going gardening, they are doing all sorts of things and being paid huge amounts of money to do not very much indeed. And that actually annoys an awful lot of people. What do you think? How can this be solved, do you think, Jess?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on, Peter. It's a pleasure. I think there are some nuances with working from home. I think it's a very trust-based system. I personally work from home because I work for Americans, and it's provided me that opportunity that I wouldn't normally have, and that's fantastic. And also, as you noted, I am a Zoomer. My brain is fried from the TikTok algorithm. So actually being in a more comfortable environment actually helps that, I guess, even though it's probably not the best thing in the world. But I think in terms of the civil service in particular, it's obvious they can't be trusted. I would say, it's
well, some of them can, I think, but not all of them. And I think that, they're clear. In the private sector, presumably they have better structures to actually deal with these people, whereas in the civil service, there seem to be a lot of people just getting away with this.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. There's so much protection for civil servants that even if they are completely unproductive, as long as they do the bare minimum, as I've spoken to my friends who are civil servants, they can get away with it. And that's
what do your friends do or not do, Jess? What have they told you about the accountability or lack of in regard to their work?
So I won't mention the specific departments or anything, but my friends during their daytime, they have gone out to see other friends. They go to the gym in times where, it's not allocated towards their lunch break. They just scroll on TikTok. That seems to be the norm. They just scroll.
So they're meant to be working. Their managers think they're working. Maybe the managers aren't doing any work either. They're supposedly supervising these people. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've had numerous occasions when I've tried to get a bit of government on the phone, like HMRC is a classic example. There's once I've moaned about this before, but I'm going to moan about it again. I was on hold for 43 minutes, then got through to a human being who immediately said, "Hello, this is HMRC," and I said, "Hello, my name's Peter," and that was it. I was cut off. And there are too many times when people have experiences of that, when they're just trying to get something basic done, but people just don't get back to them.
Yeah, it's a completely Kafka-esque system where you have to chase up somebody and they're not the right person, they lead you somewhere else and they lead you somewhere else, you just get nowhere. And throughout that time, you spend 45 minutes on a call through each. I think that is such a common experience with the average person. And it shows that despite the civil service constantly increasing in size, what is it, like 500,000 people are employed by the civil service?
It's a lot more than that, Jess. Jess, I wonder, do you think people should be allowed to work from home?
Maybe with trust, maybe with...
And how can they be made accountable? I mean, if you weren't working for your American employers, how would they know you weren't working?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think in terms of deliverables, again, it depends on the job, and it depends on the trust between the employer and the employee. And again, when your employee is the state, which is notorious for unaccountability and also inefficiency, it just doesn't breed a good solution. It doesn't breed a good environment, I would argue. Whereas if it is in the private sector, whether that's a non-profit or even a business, at least there is that accountability. At least there are deliverables which they have to deliver. But that's not true for the civil service, obviously.
Yeah, and I wonder, I mean, there are certainly contention. The Conservatives say that the number of civil servants at their desk has gone down. Labour says that the government says it's actually going up. It's hard to actually find out what the truth is here. I mean, if you have a job that you can do from home and you're perfectly able to do it, should you be forced into the office, do you think, Jess? Or actually, should we be looking at other ways in terms of saying to people, well, do you know what? If you want to work from home, you can lose your London allowance, for example.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Again, with working from home, in all honesty, if I did have the option to work in an office, I would. Because I do, there is that lack of connection, that lack of teamwork. And instead of, just being able to tap someone on the shoulder, being like, hey, can you do this? You have to message them on Slack or Teams and you have to wait for them to respond, and that just breeds inefficiency. But yeah, I think there definitely should be incentives to encourage people to be productive, whether that's working from home or working in the office. I think it just depends on the person. Again, we're all individuals. I'm a libertarian, so I strongly believe in individualism and the differences between individuals. And I think, you know, employers would do their best to accommodate that for further productivity.
Okay, Jess, thank you very much indeed. That's Jess Gill there, who's a work-from-home advocate and a Zoomer herself. She claims certainly that she's working very hard from home, although some of her friends clearly aren't.